The border is more open than ever before. It's December 8th, 2023, and these are your headlines. Well, we've made it to Friday. Hard to believe at the beginning of this week, the legislature was still in session, and now here we are, Christmas just a few weeks away. The elections coming up in just a few months here in Texas. But right here, problems continue to get worse. This week, the U.S. saw a record-breaking number of illegal alien encounters at the southwest border in a single day. That's according to numbers released by U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents. They say the southwest border saw more than 12,000 encounters on Tuesday. Texas Department of Public Safety Lieutenant Chris Olivares says the recent historic influx has strained federal law enforcement. He says that aside from the 12,000 encounters across the southwest border, Border Patrol agents saw more than 17,000 encounters, not including gotaways or apprehensions at a port of entry, in the last 5 days in the Del Rio sector alone. He said that Texas has been forced to take on most of the responsibility as the federal government slow rolls assistance for the crisis. Doesn't mean Texas is doing nothing, though. Currently, the state is attempting to curtail illegal entry into the state. There was a new measure that creates a criminal offense for such entry. That passed during the fourth special session, and while the measure awaits the governor's final approval, the ACLU, they've already promised to sue the state, meaning it could be tied up in litigation for years before it is actually implemented. One thing is for sure, this cannot stand. As these numbers continue to climb, it's time for the state to double down, triple down, and take real action to stop the invasion at the southern border, stop the invasion into Texas before it's too late. In election news, I mentioned this yesterday, but conservative activist Shelley Luther has announced she's challenging incumbent Republican Representative Reggie Smith to a rematch to represent House District 62 in North Texas. If you remember Shelley Luther, she made state and national headlines back in 2020 when she was jailed after refusing to close her salon during the COVID shutdowns. In 2021, Luther ran in a special election for Senate District 30. She was the top vote getter in that open race, but lost the runoff to now State Senator Drew Springer, who's announced that he's going to be leaving the legislature at the end of his term. She did gain tremendous grassroots support, however, for her stance against Governor Greg Abbott's COVID mandates. Luther then ran in 2022 for House District 62, but lost to Smith 41% to 58%. In the spring of this year, Shelley Luther suffered a brain aneurysm, but has recovered exceptionally well. Shelley Luther is highlighting Reggie Smith's record from this past session. Smith, who has served in the Texas House since 2018, is part of the House leadership team, behind Dade Phelan, serving as chair of the House Election Committee. As chair, Reggie Smith either slow-walked or killed several Republican priority measures addressing election security. Smith's record from the past year also includes voting to impeach Attorney General Ken Paxton, who was later acquitted by the Senate, and voting against school choice legislation, Governor Abbott's top priority. Luther says she looks forward to working with Paxton in her campaign efforts and with Abbott in his push to pass school choice. And as we said yesterday, the governor has endorsed now several candidates who did oppose him as recently as his re-election in 2022 when he had primary challengers. So the idea that he could endorse Shelley Luther, especially against Reggie Smith, who opposed his school choice priority, certainly not out of the picture. By the way, House District 62 includes Grayson and Fannin counties and portions of Delta and Franklin counties.
If you're not watching the Luke Macias Show, then you are not as engaged as everybody else is in Texas who's trying to make a difference, knowing exactly what's going on so that they can take action on the things that really matter. Guys, watch us on the Roku app for Texas Scorecard. Watch us on YouTube. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Get engaged, get more informed, so together we can actually make a bigger difference on things that matter for the future of Texas. God bless you.
Lastly, Tony Ann Dashiell, Texas's Republican National Committeewoman, has reversed course and announced she will not be seeking re-election in 2024. Dashiell had served 10 years in that position, but gained opposition in response to her support for RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel. Her support was in direct opposition to a resolution passed by the State Republican Executive Committee, the party's governing board, which unanimously had approved a resolution calling for new leadership in the national party. That statement said the grassroots have lost faith in Chairwoman McDaniel, and the RNC believes the party needs new leadership that will address deficiencies in fundraising, messaging, and election integrity, and put the party in closer alignment with its grassroots supporters and voters. Texas's two other voters on the RNC, that would be RPT Chairman Matt Rinaldi and RNC Committeeman Robin Armstrong, supported Harmeet Dillon for the position of RNC Chair. Now, following that vote in January of this year, Dashiell gained two opponents, Randon Steinhauser and Debbie Georgatos. Dashiell, however, maintained that she would seek re-election. That was until now. In an email to supporters today, Dashiell reversed her decision, saying that she would end her campaign in order to focus on growing the party at Texas at the local level. The next RNC committeewoman will be elected by delegates to the Republican Party of Texas convention. That'll take place in San Antonio from May 23rd to May 25th of next year. For more of today's stories, head to TexasScorecard.com.